Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here, and today Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny premiered at the Cannes Film Festival in France, and we've got some early reviews. And if you hop online to somewhere like Twitter or Reddit or wherever, it's causing quite the kerfuffle. So I wanted to take a look at what we're seeing here on Rotten Tomatoes. Metacritic, I think, has maybe one or two more reviews, but I wanted to look at these and just kind of, I guess, kind of talk through my response to this. Now, I will say I have not read any of the reviews. I've tried to stay as spoiler free as I can, and most of these review snippets are just that. They're snippets. They're not really getting too deeply into the plot or anything like that. But I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts with this because I think people are reacting as if the sky is falling. And I think it's a little bit early for that. I mean, certainly when you look at this, a 50% Rotten Tomato score is not ideal starting out. However, there are 8 reviews that we're counting here so far. So for those of you that work in the world of science or research or anything, you'll know that that's a very small sample size to make any kind of judgment based on. And I'll offer some additional thoughts about Rotten Tomatoes here in just a little bit. And I promise this is not me trying to do mental gymnastics to justify what the score looks like at this point. It could be the case that it's genuinely a bad movie or genuinely just kind of an okay movie. And that seems to be kind of the reaction that I've seen so far, in the little bits of information that I've seen here and there is that it's not bad. And some people say that they think it's better than Crystal Skull, which again, I like Crystal Skull, so I could be in the minority on that one, or I'm sure that I am actually. But anyway, it's just, some people say that it's middling. But again, these are just critics that have seen it. This has not been really, at least in terms of the masses, any fans that are kind of speaking on this quite yet. So 50% score, 8 reviews. Let's go down and take a look at what we've got here with some of these snippets. And I think it's kind of interesting, right? So the first one from the London Evening Standard, there are some genuinely moving scenes as we see this fantastic character finally getting ready to hang up his hat for the last time. Thanks, Indy. It's been quite a ride. They give it a 3 out of 5. So, I guess the question is, what do you want from an Indiana Jones film these days? Because I think people just don't sometimes get that, like, it's going to be impossible to fully recapture that 80s era Spielberg feel no matter what. Even if Spielberg was directing it, we saw that with Crystal Skull. He's got a more modern directorial technique now, which I think in a lot of ways has actually improved over the years. I think he's become a more mature director, but this wasn't a Spielberg movie, it's a James Mangold movie. So, here, to me, this first fresh review suggests that there is effort being put into making this a good send off for Indy. Again, the 3 out of 5 is not really a great score. It's a little bit better than average, which suggests that there may be some bumps of the road, but overall, it seems to be a positive experience for this critic. And it's just, what one person's take is, of course, right? You can see the next review here, which is rotten. One can feel the 4 credited screenwriters grasping at inspiration and coming up short. What they did manage to make would be perfectly fine as a standalone adventure film starring some other character, but it's not worthy of the whip. And that's kind of interesting to me. There is a certain standard for Indiana Jones films that we want to see maintained. And this person seems to say that, it's an okay action movie, an okay adventure movie, but it's not one that lives up to the hype of, or the expectations, I should say, of what we would want to see with Indiana Jones. Another poor review here from Kevin Marr. It looks like a United Kingdom reporter or critic. The good news is that it's not as poor as Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Again, I like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, so I just, whatever. They lose me at the beginning with that one. The bad news is that it's not much better. So again, we'll see. This is kind of a holistic bird's eye overview review. I think if you join him for the ride, it feels like a fitting goodbye to cinema's favorite grave robber. And you've got a fresh view there with 4 out of 5, no, a 4 out of 5 score with that. So that seems like a more positive take on this, right? And if you go down and kind of look at the remainder of these, one of the things that does emerge from the feedback so far is that Harrison Ford does a phenomenal job reprising this role, and that he's really sort of the emotional center of the film, which is not surprising, but it's just a really great acting job and performance from him all around. So that's super exciting to see. So again, generally, I think the takes that I've seen so far have been that it's okay to decent, right? In some cases, people would see it as good. Some people would see it maybe as uninspired at this point. I saw one comment saying that it's safe and fun and wacky, but that ultimately that formula works for the movie. So what I would say, and the reason that I'm recording this is I know there are a lot of Indiana Jones fans out there who, again, may feel like the world is crumbling around them because of these bad reviews. And I would say, hey, first of all, it's a movie. Just take a deep breath. Everything's going to be all right. But B, these are just the reactions of some film critics that have seen the movie and really just a very small handful of people. So I would say, let's wait and see what a larger sample size reveals. When we get closer to the normal Rotten Tomatoes number where you've got hundreds of reviews, which that's going to be June probably, obviously, before we get that point. And I'm sure I'm recording this on at 10:35 p.m. East Coast time in the U.S. on May 18th. I'm sure tomorrow morning there are going to be more that pop up for people that have been taking the time to write out their thoughts and get their reviews set up. But here's the thing, right? Ultimately, you look at this score and you see that there's no audience rating yet, right? Because the general masses have not yet seen it. I think that Rotten Tomatoes, while I generally do agree a lot of times with the critic scores, is an imperfect system. And sometimes they score things really poorly that I think are great. And we've seen that a lot recently where critics, give something a really bad review, but then audiences love it. This could be one of those cases. And what's interesting about this to me is that Disney seems to think that they have something special in their hands. I think if they knew that it was a bad movie, quote unquote, they would not have screened it this early, or there would have been a review embargo put in place until just a couple of days until it released, at the end of June for most people to go see it. So clearly they feel pretty good about it. Yeah, it's a little bit, scary and underwhelming if you're a longtime Indiana Jones fans to not see it come out at 100% or 90% or whatever right out of the gate. But these are just initial reactions. And the thing is, ultimately, and I always circle back to this, the only opinion that really matters is your own. If I go into this and I think it hits all the right notes and I think it's a great conclusion for the character of Indiana Jones, I'm going to be happy with it. I mean, that's just sort of point blank going to be my response. That's what I want to see: a solid adventure, a great send off for this character that we all love. That's what we want from this. So we'll just see, right? I mean, I can't really definitively say anything about this until I see it at the end of June in theaters, just like most of you who are watching this won't be able to see it until that point. So again, I would say just take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay. You could walk away loving it, right? I mean, there are many examples of where that's happened in the recent past with critics not liking something and maybe even panning it, but audiences really enjoying it. This could be another one of those things, right? And it'll be interesting to see if that happens, right? If it comes out and the audience scores in the 80 or 90th percentile, the critic score hovers in the 40s or 50% percentile, somewhere in that area, it'll just kind of be another example of critics, kind of holistically missing, the pulse of what the fans wanted to see with this. It sounds like there's a lot of nostalgia. It sounds like it hits all the beats, or a lot of the beats rather, that people would want to see from an Indie Jones film. So we'll just have to wait and see. So again, let's take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay. I just wanted to kind of offer my thoughts on this because I know people get super wrapped up in this. I do too. I'm the first to admit that I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan. If you've seen a number of my other videos, you know that about me. I want this to be a great movie. If it's not a great movie, when I do my review, I will point that out and say this is not a good movie, and that's going to be disappointing. But I am reserving judgment until I see it. And from what I've seen so far, I think there will be some things that I like here. Sure, there could be some things that are sort of off base or missing that could be disappointing, but we'll just wait and see. Just reserve judgment and, see what you think about it. See what your opinion is. But anyway, what do you think about these early scores? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always, thanks so much for watching.